During an interview with 60 Minutes, Secretary of State Antony Blinken was asked about whether the Biden administration is going to actually do what the Obama administration promised to do but failed to do, shut down Guantanamo Bay. And unfortunately, Antony Blinken, who's been pretty terrible on foreign policy during the Biden administration so far, gave a pretty non-committal answer, saying, "We believe that it should be, that's certainly a goal, but it's something that we'll bring some focus to in the months ahead." So it's a pretty dismissive answer, to be quite honest with you, and it definitely implies that there hasn't been much thought behind shutting it down. Now, why should we shut down Guantanamo Bay? Well, you should consider the fact that there are dozens of people in Guantanamo Bay right now, imprisoned without an upcoming trial date, without charges. And it goes against everything that the United States claims to be in favor of, including justice. Former presidents have promised to shut it down, much like former President Obama. He promised to close down the camp, but bipartisan opposition from Congress blocked him from doing so. And then Trump comes in and he signs an executive order in 2018, keeping the camp open indefinitely. And just to give you a sense of what the prison is like and what type of inmates are currently there. There are currently 40 detainees left in the prison of the original 780. Of these, only 2 have been convicted by military commissions. 7 others have been charged and face trial. 3 have been recommended for trial, and the rest have not been charged, but have been deemed impossible to transfer out for security or other reasons. And honestly, that excuse is absolutely ridiculous. Imagine being an innocent person who's imprisoned for nothing, really. And all you hear for why you're not being released is security reasons. Now, I have a video that I want to show you guys that features 3 ex-Guantanamo detainees and what they went through in the form of CIA torture. But before we get to that, Cenk, why don't you jump in?
Yeah, so there's 2 problems here, guys. One is there's very likely some innocent people left in Guantanamo Bay, and they've been there for now nearly 2 decades. So why are they likely to be innocent? Well, there were bounties that were paid for capturing people that were Taliban or Al Qaeda. So what did people who are starving in Afghanistan do, or bad guys? And sometimes the Taliban themselves were like, "Oh yeah, that guy fighting us, he's Taliban. Give me $5,000 So we round up a bunch of people. We have no idea who's innocent or guilty, and we put them in Guantanamo Bay, and then it became a political, hot potato. So, like the Democrats didn't want to fight to close it, and the Republicans loved it. So now they're sitting there, and basically America's saying, "We don't care if you might be innocent. We're never going to give you a trial, and we're never going to let you out." So that leads to the bigger problem. Well, what's bigger than keeping innocent people there for all this time? Which is American principles. Who are we, right? Is that what we do?
Yes,
we imprison people without a trial, without going to show them before court? The whole reason why are they in Cuba? Guantanamo Bay is in Cuba. So it's a military base we control within that island. They're in Guantanamo Bay because the Bush administration declared that outside the law. No, America does not have places outside the law. Now, there's new outrage against Donald Trump in his term and beyond because he didn't follow the law, and he never follows the law. I love that outrage, that's true. It's my #1 issue with Donald Trump. But this is not new. Cheney and Bush did this all this time. Obama barely fought back. By the way, you notice it was bipartisan opposition. Democrats wanted to keep it open too. Corporate Democrats were like, "No, I don't know. We hate American ideas." I think some people, as long as they're Muslim or brown or whatever, some people that we can't relate to, let's just imprison them for life. Who cares?
Yeah, like Abu Zubaydah, who's still a detainee in Guantanamo Bay. And I remember you did great coverage about him years and years ago on TYT. He's still a detainee in Guantanamo Bay. He's been cleared of any wrongdoing. He's completely innocent. US forces captured Zubaydah and declared him one of the senior leaders of Al Qaeda. It's been 15 years since the CIA quietly revoked that assessment once it was done torturing him. Toda, a forgotten man, he remains locked inside Guantanamo Bay, a living symbol of the permanent damage wrought by the war on terror. And according to the landmark Senate torture report that was released long time ago, August 16th of 2006, the agency formally concluded that Zubaydah was not a member of Al-Qaeda. So since 2006, when he was cleared of any wrongdoing, they've decided, nah, we're gonna keep him there. And now the UN has gotten involved because these are giant human rights abuses. Keep in mind that the US government, even during the Biden administration, is going around arguing that other countries are engaging in human rights abuses. What about our human rights abuses? And to answer your question, Cenk, yes, this is who we are. This is our identity. This is the United States government. And we need to accept it in order to correct our wrongs. Now let's get to this Vice video, which features 3 former detainees at Guantanamo Bay. They're the lucky ones. I mean, after being tortured and everything, they were cleared of wrongdoing, and luckily they were eventually released. But they talk about the torture that they underwent when they were detainees, and you should watch it. Take a look.
They used to strip us all naked. Right in the beginning, they sliced all our clothes off and spat at us and punched us and degraded us in ways it's really hard to, even now, hard to describe. And that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to remove our sense of individualism, remove our sense of humanity, and give us each a number. And we'll remember our numbers to this day. We use them for
86.
all sorts of things.
086.
And there was times where you would see detainees get beat up and dragged around, and their head flushed in the toilet, head smashed off the sink. That's how prison was, and we just had to live with it. Some detainees were mentally and physically strong enough to just overcome it and just move on with life, take every day as it comes. Some detainees weren't. A lot of them tried to commit suicide. There was a few guys in front of us who tried to commit suicide. It's not the best sight to see. I mean, and I was only 18 then, and it's the first time I see someone try to kill themselves. And then it happened a few other times with other detainees. One detainee, he jumped off his bunk, tried to bang his head onto the sink because the sinks were made of metal.
I had a panic attack once in my cell. So they sent a psychiatrist, and she sits opposite my cell and says to me, 558, which was my number, have you ever considered removing your trousers and threading them with your sheet and then using that to tie a noose around your neck and then tying it into the corner of the cell and jumping off? Have you ever considered that? I said, no, not until you put the thought in my mind.
That's the United States CIA. That's our CIA. That's what they did. And so when you have the New York Times just regurgitating their insight on what's happening around the world and what the United States needs to do and engaging in additional forever wars, just understand that the stenography that the New York Times engages in is incredibly toxic and absolutely disgusting. That is not a scoop, that's not breaking news, that's just regurgitating what the CIA has to say about alleged threats to national security. That's not journalism. And they need to take responsibility for the crappy reporting that they've done on foreign policy.
Okay, my last couple of thoughts here. So we started torturing these people and detained them forever, even though a lot of them were innocent. And then the lawlessness spread. Then Obama decided to do drone strikes where they did not get any judicial approval for executions, including of American citizens. Now you probably didn't hear that because the mainstream media covers up for Obama, and the right-wing media likes that, so they don't want to. They criticize Obama for wearing a tan suit and putting mustard on his burger, but not for executing American citizens abroad without any judicial approval. And Eric Holder's career should be ruined. Instead, he's celebrated because he said, due process is not necessarily judicial process. In other words, no, the executive branch can decide to murder American citizens without any trial or any hearing or ever going to a judge. That is not due process. That is deeply shameful, okay? Now, what did Trump do? He doubled down on the drone strikes. Of course, he doubled down on Guantanamo Bay. Now, Biden comes in, what does he do? We'll look into it. He ain't gonna look into it. They'll just put another commission on there, run out the clock like everybody else does, because it's too politically perilous in their minds. It'll be, and you know what? When Obama did release some of the prisoners that were massively innocent, clearly, obviously innocent from Guantanamo Bay, he had to do these deals with foreign countries to take them. None of the foreign countries wanted to take them. Finally, an island nation, I think it was Bahamas, took a couple of them in. They were, by the way, Uygur Turks originally from China, the same people that are now being kept in concentration camps in China that we were criticizing China for. We kept them in a concentration camp called Guantanamo Bay. Yep. And when they got released, because they were innocent, Fox News went and took pictures of them swimming in the ocean. Again, I think it was in the Bahamas. And O'Reilly did a segment going, look at these guys. Look at them, they must be guilty. And now they're having the time of their lives swimming in the ocean. Why must they be guilty, O'Reilly? Even the Bush and Cheney administration said they weren't guilty. Shit. Look at them, they're so brown and Muslim. They must be guilty. And that's the demagoguery that has led to the Republicans loving Guantanamo Bay and the Democrats being cowards and not doing anything about it.
Yeah, I love a sexual abuser pointing fingers at innocent people and accusing them of being guilty.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.